Welcome to our podcast about the Second World War and its consequences. In this episode, we'll explore the key events of the war, the major battles, and the significant leaders who shaped history. We'll also discuss the aftermath of the war, including the impact on countries' economies, and the lives of people around the world. The Second World War changed the course of history in many ways, leading to the creation of the United Nations, the start of the Cold War, and significant social and political changes. Stay tuned as we delve into this important topic, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more educational content on history and other subjects. I am Alexandra.
And I am Alex. Let's start the podcast.
Alex, what were the main causes of the Second World War?
The main causes of the Second World War include the Treaty of Versailles' harsh terms on Germany, the rise of fascism and totalitarian regimes, economic instability from the Great Depression, and aggressive expansion by Axis powers. Additionally, the failure of the League of Nations to maintain peace and the policy of appeasement towards Germany's early aggressive actions played significant roles in leading to the conflict.
Who were the major Allied and Axis powers during the Second World War?
The major Allied powers included the United States, the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, China, and France. The Axis powers were primarily Germany, Italy, and Japan. Other countries joined each side over time, but these nations were the main participants. The conflict between these alliances shaped the strategies, battles, and eventual outcomes of the war, leading to a significant impact on global politics and history.
What event triggered the start of the Second World War?
The Second World War was triggered by the invasion of Poland by Nazi Germany on September 1, 1939. This aggressive action prompted Britain and France to declare war on Germany, marking the beginning of the conflict. The invasion demonstrated Germany's expansionist ambitions under Adolf Hitler and led to widespread involvement of various nations, turning the conflict into a global war with far-reaching consequences.
How did the Second World War impact the global economy?
The Second World War had a profound impact on the global economy. It led to massive destruction of infrastructure and industrial capacity, particularly in Europe and Asia. Post-war recovery required significant investments and reconstruction efforts, leading to economic realignment and the establishment of institutions like the International Monetary Fund (IMF) and the World Bank. The war also accelerated technological advancements and industrial production, particularly in the United States, which emerged as a global economic leader.
What were some key battles of the Second World War?
Key battles of the Second World War include the Battle of Stalingrad, the Battle of Midway, the D-Day invasion at Normandy, and the Battle of the Bulge. Each of these battles was pivotal in shifting the momentum towards the Allies. The Battle of Stalingrad marked a turning point on the Eastern Front, while the Battle of Midway was crucial in the Pacific. The Normandy invasion opened a Western front in Europe, and the Battle of the Bulge was Germany's last major offensive.
How did the Second World War affect civilian populations?
The Second World War had devastating effects on civilian populations. Millions of civilians were killed or displaced due to bombings, military campaigns, and atrocities like the Holocaust. Cities were destroyed, economies disrupted, and families torn apart. The war also led to significant migrations and refugee crises. Civilians faced severe shortages of food, medical supplies, and basic necessities, enduring immense suffering and hardship throughout the conflict.
What was the significance of the Holocaust during the Second World War?
The Holocaust was a genocide during the Second World War in which 6 million Jews, along with other persecuted groups, were systematically murdered by Nazi Germany. This atrocity highlighted the extreme consequences of unchecked hatred and totalitarianism. The Holocaust has left an indelible mark on history, emphasizing the importance of human rights, the dangers of prejudice, and the necessity of preventing such horrors from ever happening again.
How did the Second World War end in Europe?
The Second World War in Europe ended with the unconditional surrender of Nazi Germany on May 8, 1945, known as VE Day Victory in Europe Day. This followed a series of decisive Allied victories, including the fall of Berlin. The Allies had launched a relentless offensive, leading to the collapse of German defenses. Adolf Hitler's suicide and the subsequent surrender of German forces marked the end of the war in Europe, bringing relief and the beginning of reconstruction efforts.
What were the consequences of the Second World War for Germany?
The consequences of the Second World War for Germany were severe. The country was divided into 4 occupation zones controlled by the Allies: the United States, the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, and France. Berlin, the capital, was similarly divided. The Nuremberg trials were held to prosecute Nazi war criminals. Germany also faced significant economic hardship, infrastructure destruction, and population displacement. The war's aftermath led to the eventual division of Germany into East and West, influencing the Cold War dynamics.
How did the Second World War influence the creation of the United Nations?
The Second World War significantly influenced the creation of the United Nations UN. The war's devastation highlighted the need for an international organization dedicated to maintaining peace and preventing future conflicts. Established in 1945, the UN aimed to foster cooperation among nations, promote human rights, and address global challenges. Its formation marked a commitment to collective security and international diplomacy, striving to create a more stable and just world order.
What role did women play during the Second World War?
Women played crucial roles during the Second World War, both on the home front and in military service. They filled jobs vacated by men who went to fight, working in factories, shipyards, and offices. Women also served in auxiliary military units, such as the Women's Army Corps' WAC and the Women's Royal Naval Service WRNS. Their contributions were vital to the war effort, leading to greater recognition of women's capabilities and laying the groundwork for post-war social changes and gender equality.
How did the Second World War affect colonial empires?
The Second World War significantly affected colonial empires, accelerating the process of decolonization. The war weakened European powers economically and militarily, making it difficult to maintain control over colonies. Additionally, the war's emphasis on self-determination and human rights inspired independence movements. Many colonies in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East gained independence in the years following the war, leading to the end of colonial rule and the emergence of new nations.
What were the economic consequences of the Second World War for Japan?
The economic consequences of the Second World War for Japan were devastating. The country faced widespread destruction from bombings, including the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Infrastructure, industries, and cities were in ruins. Japan's economy was crippled and it underwent significant reconstruction under Allied occupation. The post-war period saw Japan transform through economic reforms and rapid industrialization, eventually emerging as a major global economic power. Alexandra, how did the Second World War contribute to the start of the Cold War?
The Second World War contributed to the start of the Cold War by creating a power vacuum and ideological divide between the United States and the Soviet Union. The two superpowers emerged from the war with differing visions for the post-war world, leading to tensions over political, economic, and military influence. The division of Germany, nuclear arms race, and conflicting interests in Europe and Asia set the stage for the Cold War, characterized by a prolonged period of geopolitical rivalry and proxy conflicts.
What impact did the Second World War have on technological advancements?
The Second World War had a significant impact on technological advancements. The war accelerated developments in various fields, including radar, jet engines, nuclear technology, and medical innovations like antibiotics. These advancements were driven by the need for superior military capabilities and had lasting effects on civilian life post-war. The technology developed during the war laid the groundwork for future innovations in science, industry, and medicine, shaping the modern world.
How did the Second World War change the geopolitical landscape?
The Second World War dramatically changed the geopolitical landscape. It led to the emergence of the United States and the Soviet Union as superpowers, initiating the Cold War. The war also resulted in the decline of European colonial empires and the rise of independence movements. New international institutions, like the United Nations, were established to prevent future conflicts. The geopolitical map was redrawn with significant shifts in power and influence, shaping global politics for decades to come.
What were the social consequences of the Second World War?
The social consequences of the Second World War were profound. The war led to significant loss of life and widespread displacement, altering family structures and communities. It also prompted shifts in social roles, particularly for women, who entered the workforce in large numbers. The war's end brought about changes in civil rights movements, decolonization, and migration patterns. Additionally, the collective trauma and memories of the war influenced cultural expressions and societal values, shaping the post-war social landscape.
What was the significance of the Marshall Plan after the Second World War?
The Marshall Plan, officially known as the European Recovery Program, was significant after the Second World War as it provided extensive financial aid to rebuild war-torn Europe. Launched in 1948 by the United States, it aimed to restore economic stability, prevent the spread of communism, and promote political cooperation. The plan successfully revitalized European economies, strengthened U.S.-European relations, and laid the foundation for future economic integration, including the formation of the European Union.
How did the Second World War affect the global balance of power?
The Second World War significantly altered the global balance of power. Pre-war dominant powers like Britain and France were weakened, while the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as superpowers. This shift led to the Cold War, a period of intense rivalry between the U.S. and the USSR. Additionally, the war facilitated the rise of independence movements in colonized regions, reducing the influence of European empires and leading to the formation of new, sovereign nations across Africa, Asia, and the Middle East.
What were the long-term environmental impacts of the Second World War?
The long-term environmental impacts of the Second World War were substantial. The conflict caused widespread destruction of landscapes, deforestation, and pollution from bombing campaigns and battles. Industrial production and military activities released significant amounts of pollutants and greenhouse gases. The use of nuclear weapons in Hiroshima and Nagasaki had devastating effects on the environment and human health. Post-war reconstruction further strained natural resources, leading to increased awareness of the need for environmental conservation and sustainable practices.
Alexandra, that is Rit, it was really nice podcast.
Yes, Alex, it was nice podcast. See you soon.
Thank you for joining us in exploring the Second World War and its far-reaching consequences. We've covered the causes, key events, and the lasting impacts on global politics, economies, societies, and the environment. This significant period in history continues to influence our world today. We hope this discussion has provided valuable insights and helped in your journey of learning English. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more educational content. See you next time.